everybody. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about changing your mind. Um, in our spiritual growth, one of the best ways that we can come to deal with the tides of life is to understand that we affect our own reality. We affect our own experiences. Yes, there's things that are happening in life all the time, but they're not just happening to you. You are a co-creator in that process. So I'd like to kind of touch upon the idea that, you know, I'm reminded that one of the most important things we can do is to be in touch with our spiritual component, the spiritual component of ourselves. I believe that that's the part that connects us with the larger part of ourselves, which is the non-physical part. It's that our spiritual connection to that helps to align our energies to, bring more of our manifestations through. We are more than what meets the eye. So let me ask you a question. And by the way, when I say spiritual life, I'm not talking about religion or pious. I'm talking about a connection with, you can call it whatever you will, God, the universe, source energy. I mean, we know that something enabled us to have this experience. And getting in touch with that higher sense of who we are aligns our energies to be able to have that conduit of energy to continually flow through us. So let me ask you a question. What are you feeling today? I believe that whatever it is that you're feeling, whether it's good or bad, positive or negative, optimistic or pessimistic, what we ought to do in our soul's journey is to try and feel a little bit better. Whatever level that you're feeling right now, aim to feel a little bit better. And there's a number of different things out there that have sort of hit upon this concept of feeling better helps to raise your own vibratory rate, your own vibrations. So, whatever level it is, reach for another thought or an idea or concept or experience that makes you feel a little bit better. And continually do that in your life, and you will raise your vibration level. And that in terms will help you with your manifestations. Through the law of attraction, like attracts like, and, whatever you're putting out is what's coming back to you. So that gets it back to the idea of, aiming to feel a little bit better. And by the way, there are several different, people that have some information out there you might find useful. For example, there's a lot of Abraham Hicks, videos and content on YouTube that I've found to be pretty interesting. I like the philosophy behind it. And there's been a number of others. I mean, there was even a thing, Your Wish is Your Command, that Kevin Trudeau put out for a while. That I like that. And other things too, like even Wayne Dyer stuff, change your thoughts, change your life, you'll see it when you believe it. Some of those materials I found to be pretty helpful and useful, and remembering that, you play a role in what you experience. So aim to feel a little bit better. So let's kind of come back to that idea and, take a look at that about changing your thoughts. I mean, that's the tricky part. I mean, whether you have, something in your past that may be bogging you down, that weighs upon your spirit, or maybe you're overburdened with debt, or maybe you have people that want you to do something you don't want to do. Um, you know, all of these things can, introduce a bit of negativity that can, affects your overall mindset and energy levels and well-being. Um, so the magic really is in changing your mind. So, I can't solve your problems for you, but I can at least maybe help to point you in the right direction. Um, because the miracle really is in changing your mind. Um, that's precisely, where the miracles happen. And, so when you feel negative, when we have to realize that when you're feeling negative, you're actually out of sync from your source energy, from, your higher self. Um, it's as though the thoughts that you might be thinking are very different than the thoughts that your higher self would have. And that difference is what is producing that negative feeling. Um, so, you know, your higher self most definitely has other thoughts. Let's put it this way. And a lot of times when you're thinking along those lines, that things aren't going right, or this shouldn't have happened, or you want someone to do this or someone to do that. There's things that you can't control, and you feel like you should be able to, or you really need it to go a certain way. Well, that's part of getting back to the idea of trusting and understanding that there's a process in place, and this process is moving along, and to the extent that you kind of flow along with it, and help to bring about the kinds of experiences that you want in terms of the energy that you put out. It's all about energy alignment. And, when you get congruent with your energy being in alignment with your higher self, you'll find that things flow easier, that you have many new and unexpected synchronicities that happen. A lot of times when you feel negative, it's because you might be looking at let's say, a radar screen. And I'll give you an analogy, a radar screen of maybe 3 inches by 3 inches. That's what you see on the horizon as the possibilities of the potentials, is on that little 3 inch by 3 inch radar screen. When in fact, your higher self, your God self, your universal principle, um, sees, something very different, and potentials as being much greater. The screen that the higher self has access to and is, working with might be the size of a football field. So, by relative comparison, you're looking at, 1% of, what the possibilities and potentials really are, and how things can play out and manifest. Whereas, your higher self knows that there's a lot of other things that can happen. But if you go into a negative mindset and a negative, energy level, pessimistic and sort of downtrodden energy about something, you almost necessarily bring about those negativities. So by tuning into the lighter side of things, you are enabling some of these other possibilities and potentials to come in and happen and manifest in your life in ways that are in alignment with what you want to have happen, just maybe not in the same exact way, time, place, that you thought it should have happened. Um, so, it comes back to the idea of, really understanding the miracle is in, changing your mind. And I know that it's a lot easier to say this than to do it. Some negative situations and circumstances and stuff. I mean, that can be, it can be sticky and tricky and difficult. But I promise you that if you let go of those and feel better, find a way, find another thought to feel better in each moment that you're aware, you know, find a way to feel a little bit better. That is the path toward healing your life. Um, and I guess you know, it's sometimes that easy to just change your change your thoughts. I mean, I'm reminded of a time I saw this bird that was stuck inside in a house, and the bird was flying over toward the window, and it kept pounding up against the window because it wanted to get out, and it could see out the window, and it could see trees and shrubs and greenery and flowers and all that, and it wanted out, but and so it kept bopping into the window. But if the bird would have just turned around and went the other way, it could have got out. And that's sort of what we sometimes might be doing with negative thoughts and negative energies about certain circumstances or situations or people, or it's almost like we keep trying to do the same thing when in fact changing your mind is akin to the idea of, okay, go another way where it's less obstructed, where it's more fun, where it's just easier. So the bird, by the way, did get out. It did eventually turn around and flew around and found another way out. I guess in closing, the thing that I want to mention is, as you kind of go through life, one of the best things to do is so that you don't get caught up in negative energies. I mean, you want to care, but not too much. Care, but not too much. I think that's kind of the right balance.